This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 325 of the CineSnob Podcast. My name is Cody Villafana, and this week I am joined by Kiko Martinez, Jocelyn Durand, and special guest Jerrod Kingery, returning to his former stomping grounds.
Look at
the
that.
whole team is back. It's like the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
We should put an asterisk at the end of CineSnob Podcast this week.
Yeah.
I actually might do that.
And just like Thunderbolts, if you haven't watched this podcast before, you have no idea who Jerrod is or what's going on. So I hope you did your homework.
You think there's people coming in on episode 325?
Yeah,
Hell yes. Of course.
Someone's just discovering this?
Yep.
I think so, and they're going to be in for a treat.
Oh, they are.
When they see how great we are.
All my fans. I posted about it on Instagram, and I had a few friends who were like, "Oh, you're doing CineSnobs again." So,
When did you do that?
just like last week.
Oh, well, I don't think you tagged anything or anyone, so.
I did tag you guys. I tagged you on Instagram. Yes, I did.
All right.
All I saw was LCD sound system shit.
Well, yeah, that was a big deal. But the week before, it was me, and I said, "What? Why haven't I thought of this before?" And it was a picture of me podcasting in bed, and I tagged CineSnobs. So.
And I made fun of your TV again.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh God. We are not going into this.
Well, we don't have 3 hours to roast Jocelyn.
Which, by the way, I will talk about in a review because they have TVs mounted in freaking Another Simple Favor, and they were all the exact same level as my TV for a bed. So I just wanted to point that out. But you haven't seen that yet, Jerrod,
Well,
so.
save it.
Yes.
Save the good stuff
Yes.
for the review.
You and Paul Feig have been talking, and
Yeah.
Is my
Of a like
TV
mind.
too high? In this case, too low.
I
Yeah.
didn't see you in the special thanks in the credits. So
Yeah.
I hear Blake Lively is
Hot.
has another feud in that movie, right? Or isn't she like feuding with
Oh, you? Yeah, like everyone.
Anna Kendrick now?
I mean,
Oh, maybe.
there's a whole the South by Southwest premiere was not. Someone asked Anna about what was going on with her, and she was just like, or what it was like working with her, and she was like, oh, and she like ran away. So
Oh, yeah,
everyone was
I saw
like,
that.
oh, Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah, I saw that. But, I mean, we'll save it for the review. For now, I guess if people have listened to this show before, they know that this is a movie review podcast, second in a San Antonio Spurs podcast first, usually. And there was big news in Spurs land this week where after 29 seasons behind the bench, or on the bench, I don't know why you'd be behind it,
It's
Coach
not really a
Gregg
bench either. It's
Popovich-
just a bunch of chairs.
Coach Gregg Popovich has stepped down as coach of the Spurs. Something I think everyone in San Antonio saw coming, especially when news broke that he had
another health.
he had an episode
issue.
at a restaurant.
Yeah.
After suffering a mild stroke. What was it in like November of last year or
It was
somewhere
like
around there?
5 games into the season, I think.
Yeah, it would have been
It was
October,
super early.
November. It's crazy. I mean, Pop has been the coach of the Spurs for the majority of my life and for a big chunk of everyone else's because you're all older than me. But
Well, I believe it is the majority of all of our lives too.
Yes.
We're not
you're
not
not
in our
60?
we're not
70s, right?
70s, yeah.
okay, fine. The overwhelming majority of my life. How about that?
Okay,
Well-
that's fair enough.
Sure. I mean,
And obvious.
still
I'm
with
like
me too.
I'm like 5 years older than you.
I'm just trying to
Cody,
remind people
okay?
how youthful I am. But
Maybe,
anyway,
like,
You're
4
with
and
the
a half.
Cody's the only one displaying gray hair now.
I know.
So
yeah.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Well, I can't grow a beard, so that I wonder if I could, if it would come out gray.
Maybe. You should try it sometime. Oh, wait, you can't.
It won't
He's
grow.
like, I literally can't.
But speaking of gray beards, Gregg Popovich stepping
Uh-huh.
down as coach, and Mitch Johnson is now the new coach of the Spurs. I'm sure we all have thoughts on that, but what did you guys think when you saw the news? I know that Jerrod and I had been talking about it for a while as being something that was definitely going to happen, especially when he didn't come back, and then the episode at the restaurant was like the last straw there.
Yeah, I can see it coming. Yeah, myself. I was hoping that maybe he would do it maybe 1 or 2 more years, but and just kind of a transition. But it went pretty quick, and I'm very surprised that they made Mitch the head coach. That was probably more shocking actually than him stepping down. So,
I mean, that does. I wasn't a huge fan of his coaching this year. I don't know how much of that is circumstantial or what, but thinking back to it, it's the history of this franchise. It's certainly not surprising that they didn't make a splashy move to get a head coach. Because how many years did they stand pat on like trade deadlines?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, hire Mike Malone or
Becky. I wanted Becky.
Becky would have been cool.
I think that would.
That was never going to
really,
happen.
It could have. I mean, even her being an assistant coach, probably people would have said that could never happen, and then it did.
I mean, she's been away from the organization a long time too.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
Taylor Jenkins, Bud was out there.
Who was the? Oh man, there was another big. There's Malone and one
Monty
other guy.
Williams.
There's like the two big. Yeah, Monty Williams. I mean, Monty Williams wouldn't have surprised me. I mean, probably somebody like Ime Udoka would have been like the number one pick were he not already coaching a playoff team in Houston. But
I just think
that doesn't matter either anymore these days, right?
I just think it's weird that so I mean, I had a friend tell me that like you don't want to be the direct replacement to Pop, you want to be the replacement to the replacement.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree with that.
And I can understand that idea, but also at the same time, you've got like two coaches out there who have won titles in the last 5 years, and you've got coaches who are connected to the Spurs, like Jenkins, who worked there, or like Monty, and who knows if they're going to be there or who's going to be there when, if or when they ever decide they want to move on from Mitch. And I agree, Jerrod. You can see why it wouldn't be a splash, but also at the same time, their sort of like corporate loyalty, I think, is going to bite them at some point.
I mean, maybe. I think I mentioned to you, Cody. I mean, I can't imagine, Wemby didn't have he wasn't consulted. I mean, that this big giant, superstar player is going to get to kind of determine where they go in a coaching direction, and maybe they're all comfortable with him. Maybe that's something. Again, I'd like to see how it shakes out. With a fully healthy Wemby, De'Aaron Fox back from a finger surgery, and then maybe either a really good draft pick or a trade for a big somewhere. And then Steph Castle coming off a Rookie of the Year season. I'm willing to give it a shot. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan, but again, I don't know how much of that was circumstantial to what was happening with the team and just sort of finding out what was happening. Because, I mean, it was a lot better season this year than last year.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything as bad as Pop starting Sochan at point guard the year before, right? I mean, I think that was the biggest misstep of any coaching the Spurs have seen in the past 5 years, is doing that and trying to make it happen for so long without realizing
it was a meaningless season. I don't think it really mattered all that much at the end of the day. But.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything against Mitch Johnson personally. I don't know him personally, so I guess I wouldn't have anything against him personally. This past season, like I said, it always felt like kind of an anomaly because you never knew if Pop was coming back. You had to kind of assume, I think a lot of people did assume, that he was calling shots, at least between games, maybe even during the game.
Well, and now he's president, so I wonder what that means as far as
he always was,
wasn't he already president?
So does that mean that he can
I believe
still have a lot of input?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're
Oh,
saying,
yeah,
like, calling
100%.
shots behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, like he would, text him during a timeout or whatever, and somebody would relay it to him. It's going to be weird, I assume, seeing him sit on the sidelines or seeing him in the arena.
Yeah,
not
like in a
coaching
suite or something.
Yeah. But my biggest thing is I wonder how, like, they're notoriously a secretive organization. I wonder how bad his condition is. Nobody's seen him in public, on an official basis since his stroke.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's just like mobility is limited. That's going to be the biggest. That's always the biggest thing, that like to see somebody that kind of deteriorate and how disheartening it can be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's still mentally sharp. It's just when your body gives up on you like that is when when the sadness comes in this sports.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's been getting. I mean, it's great to see. It's been really nice to see all the him getting all of the laurels from everybody, and he's not dead.
Yeah.
Because that was always my biggest fear. Like, I mean, he was always going to leave the team feet first. That he's not dead.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he just said, "You know what? Let me die on the court." That's what,
I
mean, this is probably as close as you can get. I would assume.
This is what I want.
Don't
Just
say
let
that.
me
Knock
let my
on
heart
wood.
blow up.
He's not
as
coaching
I'm
anymore,
yelling.
Jocelyn. It's not going to happen.
He's
It's
not.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, by feet first, I mean I meant like dead,
Walking.
but
I
no,
thought you
feet
meant
first,
walking.
like being wheeled out on a stretcher.
Oh,
You never heard that before? Oh, that's fine.
Maybe.
Sorry. Feet first, yeah.
that's an
You leave feet
old-timey-
first means like you're being wheeled out dead or
I thought like
sick.
feet first. His feet were first.
Yeah.
His feet are the first thing that touches the court, typically.
I just
This is cartwheeling.
the video that they shared, the Spurs did. I was like, I'm like, I don't live in San Antonio anymore. I wasn't gonna share it, and then when I started watching it, and I started like realizing how many of those moments were like a part of my life, it got me super. I mean, it was like literally like Cody saying, for like the majority of my life, I've watched the teams that he has been the head of, and it was that video really got me, especially like the old David stuff. God, it's been so long and so many good memories and championships.
I will say there's been some great tributes out there. There's also been some very weird photoshops and editing.
Sounds fun.
So like Pop is stepping down for health reasons and all of this stuff, and like ESPN was playing clips from him of his career, and they like show him dancing on the float on the Riverwalk
Oh
parade.
no!
I'm like, maybe
Is that where he's counting?
No. I'm talking about when he's like shimmying on the boat, and it's like you guys maybe
the counting one.
like maybe show him like
A little
running
dignity.
a play or calling a timeout or something. You're gonna show this guy like 25 years ago dancing like probably wine drunk.
It was
They did
Fiesta,
show-
so
They did show or somewhere posted, I think it was ESPN, the Hack-a-Shack in the playoffs with
That's my
with
favorite.
the
That's my
Suns,
favorite.
Yeah,
where he calls a Hack-a-Shack play like 5 seconds into the game,
yeah,
and it just cuts to him on the bench giving a thumbs up.
yeah. That's a
Is-
great one.
is there a world where Steve Kerr comes back to coach?
I mean, if the
Maybe.
Warriors implode,
Wouldn't
I mean,
that-
they're slowly falling
He could
apart.
be like the replacement of the replacement.
I mean, maybe it depends on if they truly see Mitch as a placeholder or if they truly see him as the future coach of the team. Because I highly doubt he was handpicked from the get-go as the successor. I think he just kind of wound up there because I think there were a bunch of other people who could have been that, whether it was Becky or whether it was, Messina was supposed to be that guy a while back before he left the team. And so, but anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but congrats to Pop on a great career. It's going to be weird seeing, formally speaking, someone else on the sideline. It was already weird seeing Mitch there previously, but seeing him take over. But yeah, kind of crazy to find. I mean, and one other thing too is like, this is officially the end of an era of Spurs basketball that made up the majority of our lives. Like, it was weird when like Manu and Tony and Tim left, but this is like the official like closing of the book of sort of that dynasty era Spurs team, which
Yeah,
is
because there's nobody left.
yeah. Other than like RC Buford, that's the only thing that's really connecting.
But I mean, Pop's still there,
right? But
he's president of basketball operations, which is essentially the coach's boss. I mean, everybody. I mean,
He's a
RC
puppet master.
yeah, but also he's not the face of the team anymore.
That's one thing. I may have mentioned this before on the show, but just real quick, I applied for a job with the Spurs a few years ago, and I had an interview. By the way, they were terrible at following up. It was not well run. But one of the things they talked about was like top down from the organization was like modeled after Pop. Like, how he would behave, how he would treat people, etc. And he wasn't even the GM then. Like, he was just the coach back then. And it was an interesting thing to kind of hear, that this person who's wasn't the CEO, wasn't the GM at the time, I believe he wasn't, who was like setting the tone for the organization. And I assume it's still that way. Mm-hmm. Maybe he doesn't call back quickly on interviews either, but
wait, so you're saying that you could have been the replacement coach, because don't the video guys usually end up being the coaching staff?
Man, I always wondered about that. Like if I'd have chosen a different career path, like being a video guy for a sports team, like those guys always end up in coaching positions, and I don't really know how.
They're good editors.
I mean, they're watching
watching
basketball all
tape all the
day. So
dude, I've watched basketball for 35 years now.
Then go apply.
And I still hey guys, it's this 5'8", 46-year-old guy with no experience in the sport.
The LinkedIn.
Start off in Little League like I am. That's what I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
A LinkedIn post about a Spurs head coach.
Yeah.
I wonder if they did have to post it, like HR wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is it an EEOE thing, like or EOEE thing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it could be. So, all right. Well, that's our Spurs talk, our basketball talk. We'll
shorter than it normally was back in my day.
Yeah. We used to get way off track, and this was just only mildly. So that's an improvement. So let's talk about some movies, shall we?
Here are this week's reviews.
So first up, we have Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is the new
asterisk.
Oh yes, with an asterisk on it. Yes. So Thunderbolts is the new Marvel film. It is the 36th MCU film, which we'll talk about in just a minute here. But the synopsis for Thunderbolts reads: after finding themselves ensnared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their past.
Bum, bum, bum.
That is a very dark synopsis for what this movie actually is.
Yes, it kind of is. Yeah, so the movie, interestingly, I always think it's interesting to see like who gets these Marvel jobs these days. And so the film is directed by Jake Schreier, who is most well known for directing the TV show Beef. The screenplay was co-written by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow. And Joanna Callow is the co-showrunner of The Bear. And apparently there was a lot of writing done on here from the showrunner of Beef as well, whose name I don't have.
Is it Eric Pearson?
No.
Oh, that's who's credited.
Yeah, he's an uncredited. He got like a story credit, but apparently he kind of shaped it up. It's from Lee Sung-jin, also did some writing on the film. And, as we mentioned, it is indeed the 36th movie in the MCU. And as we've talked about many times, one of the problems I think that Marvel has right now is the idea that everything is either connected or a setup or something like that. And here, there are characters where, like, if you haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, good luck, knowing who, Wyatt Russell is playing. Or, do you remember Ant-Man and the Wasp? Because then you get to see Olga Kurylenko appear. But ultimately, I think that this movie does not suffer from that as much. I feel like you could probably walk into this movie pretty blind and still get it, which I think is to the film's credit. I think that with a lot of what's been happening with Marvel recently, a lot of it has felt like TV quality slop. And I think, that's been the case for, like Captain America, Brave New World. The one MCU movie that Jocelyn has seen now at this point.
Wait, you saw Captain America for whatever reason?
Oh, there is a reason.
My 3-year-old, I guess, was
I don't know how old he is.
I guess. He was wanting to watch Red Hulk. I guess someone told him at school, basically. So that's how I got bullied into it, only to, for them to be like, this is boring. And I was, on fast forward 10 throughout the whole movie until Red Hulk came at the last 10 minutes. So that was
they lovingly rendered his chest hair and nipples. Looks like Harrison Ford's.
I mean, of all the movies for me to start, with, that was not ideal.
No,
I mean, they're
it's
all
not.
filmed like in your city now, so
Yeah,
you could probably
true.
just go
True.
be in one.
You can just ask Jerrod for a list of what order you should watch all of these to catch up.
I mean,
I will
I'm not
be.
the. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to.
Are you the MCU?
No, that's why you're here. Shut up. That's why.
Oh, okay. Cody likes these too. God damn it.
I would say I liked them. I think it's been a while.
True.
Since,
And I'm in
since-
the same boat.
yeah,
Well, they're on a little what is maybe 0-4 in the past few movies.
I mean,
maybe
it's been
1-4.
It's been a little bit rough. The past. I mean, it goes back further than 4. I mean, it's the last like phase and a half or whatever have been pretty underwhelming. But
My problem is I don't know when they are good. Like, I don't understand how it can be better than not good. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, there's still like just people flying around on green screens. So I don't know how.
Well,
one
that's
can
Not
be better
everything
than
is-
reductive.
another.
Not everything is Seven Samurai. Not every
No,
person
I
walking
know.
down a road is a homage to the Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai, not Seven Samurai.
I
Well,
didn't say seven.
Okay.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Okay. This is why we don't have 4 people on this show.
We haven't even gotten into opinions
I'm gonna
yet.
mute myself.
I
We
haven't
all
even
loved
gotten to
it.
plot yet. Jeez. I mean, so Thunderbolts is sort of centered around Florence Pugh's character is Yelena, who we got introduced to in Black Widow, and is sort of kind of being affected through like mental health type stuff from the sort of losses that she suffered in that film. And going through some bouts of kind of like depression and like kind of like a lack of a purpose. And I think it's a really great kind of thing to center the movie around this character. A lot of times with these Marvel movies, they can hire like the best talent that there is, Oscar nominated or winning actors. And a lot of times they don't like bring anything to the table. And for whatever reason, it's just like, kind of like their performances, but nothing amazing and special. And I think that where Thunderbolts kind of shines first is I think it really allows the cast to make really good use of their talent. Florence Pugh is great in this movie, and she's a great actress, and she's the emotional center of everything, and she delivers on emotional monologues. She's funny, she's cutting. I think she's really great in it, and there's just some great casting like all around. I was a big fan of Wyatt Russell's character in this movie, who's just kind of like an arrogant dick in the movie, but also he has some complexity to him. Again, if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he has sort of like a downfall after he's named the new Captain America, and he's still recovering from that part of things. I really think that David Harbour is great in this movie as like a Red Guardian, who is kind of like the comic relief of the movie, but also again has these emotional scenes that work really well. And that's what you get when you have good actors in these performances, is that they sell the drama of people flying around on a green screen. Jocelyn, they're able to kind of sell the emotional thing. And I think the other thing that is impressive about Thunderbolts, I think, is that it does play into a relatively grounded story with like something that I think Marvel is not really used to, which is like metaphor and like subtlety. Now I will say some of it is not subtle and some of it is maybe like abundantly like over the top, but really the idea here of this movie, more so than anything else, it's like an exploration of depression, and that's kind of like the whole sort of center of this movie. We talk a lot, or we've talked about, Jerrod, about how like, or I know I have at least, how like Marvel villains kind of are not really all that interesting and, really kind of fall short. And here, the villain of this movie is basically depression. Like that's kind of what they're fighting against, and a representation of that through Louis Pullman's character, who is also, again, really good in this movie. And so, across the board, I think that the casting is really great. The performances are great. I like that there's actually something like narratively like interesting here. Like I said, so much of this has been like TV level slop where you get, like the recent Captain America movie is just a nothing nonsense thing.
Yeah.
That has no meaning, that has no sort of like, yeah, you can make a political analog that was like Trump kind of commentary, but here you're dealing kind of with like a complex emotional thing, like depression and loneliness and isolation and regret and remorse. And I feel like it balances that better than any Marvel movie I can remember in quite some time. It's not perfect. I think it gets a little bit flabby in the middle of this movie, where it gets a little bit weighed down. But I mean, it's the best Marvel movie in quite some time, in my opinion. I mean, I think you would have to go back to maybe like Avengers Endgame or something. Like it's maybe the best since then.
I'll talk when I have a chance.
Oh yeah.
Well, what about No Way Home? You're forgetting No Way, or is that not considered?
I didn't really like it all that much. Yeah. But yeah. So I mean, other things. I think the script is really. I think that having someone like Joanna Calla, who's on The Bear, probably helped making the script sharp. I think it's really funny and has like little asides and one and sort of like one-liners that I think are really good. There's one scene where Florence. So it's I think it's who is it? Oh, it's Bucky. Or no, I can't remember who it was. Anyway,
what's the scene?
It's a scene where they're trapped inside the building that they get sent to
In the shaft.
Yeah.
So it's everybody but Bucky.
Okay, so then the two characters it would be it's Wyatt Russell's character, and I guess anyway, there's a comment in there that Florence Pugh makes about swinging their little dicks in that when they're trying to fight and stuff. That line,
and you understood that perfectly.
LOL.
I understand.
Yeah, I was like, huh. I relate to this. Yeah, thank you, Kiko.
I feel seen.
Representation matters, guys.
Yes, thank you. So I just think that there's a lot of like clever one-liners. Again, I think a lot of it is delivered through sort of like the dry, sarcastic stuff of Wyatt Russell. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think I just really appreciated the direction that this movie went in, and the idea that it gave us like complex characters going through complex story things, which again is not the norm for Marvel. And maybe I'm just like giving it too much credit for meeting the bare minimum of being narratively interesting, but like it tends to stand out based on their recent output. But Jerrod, as guest of honor, I'll pass to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is the best Marvel movie since the last best Marvel movie since something, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right about that.
And I feel like these have a lot of parallels. Like they're both, it's a surprisingly intimate, like found family story that's like this ragtag superhero adventure. And like that's something that's really been missing, I think, from this formula. And like you said, Florence Pugh is great. David Harbour, I really love. I think they're the rocks of this. I really like Wyatt Russell too. The one person I think who just kind of gets the short shrift is the Ghost character, because she doesn't really have any personality that's been written in for her, other than being like sarcastic. But yeah, I mean, this thing is like I said, it's not like an end of the world situation.
Yeah.
And even though it like at some point it feels like it's going there, and then it takes a turn that I didn't expect, where it kind of confronts psychological issues and, like you said, depression and things like that, that I thought was really, really well done. And I was just sort of surprised that this movie, like that they took the I guess the chance with this. I don't know. Would you call it a chance, or like this? It just doesn't feel like your normal Marvel output. Yeah. Not that that's been working really in the past, but it's got the Suicide Squad vibes. I think that's kind of hard to ignore, but I think it takes a goes a different direction than a movie like that did, and really presents these characters as like not terrible people.
Yeah.
Just sort of people that have done something wrong. And I don't think that like, I don't think it's too big of a swing to say like that, Florence Pugh is leagues above everybody else. I think I can't remember a better performance like in a Marvel movie, like with the lead, like, I guess like maybe Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. in like Endgame or something like that.
But like, this is like, Michael B. Jordan in the first Black Panther, and Florence. I mean, she's so good. Like this didn't really have to be a superhero movie. Like the Yelena character was in Black Widow. She popped up in Hawkeye. Did you watch that, Cody?
No, I did not.
So she pops up there too. And she's always been really good. And this movie, I think, just really cements that. I think she's probably one of my favorite characters now in the things that are going on. Like I said, the scenes between her and David Harbour are really great. The compassion that comes from her toward Lewis Pullman's character, who, by the way, do you remember Steven Yeun was going to play that character originally?
He
dropped out. He had to drop out for some reason, but maybe that's where the beef connection came in. But
yes, that's absolutely how that happened. Yeah,
but yeah, it was. I liked Lewis Pullman in the role. I was wondering also how Steven Yeun would have been, but obviously that's dream casting now. But you mentioned like having these major Oscar caliber performers, and that's another one. Another Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
In the role. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think maybe it runs out of gas at the end. I feel like the end reveal, where you find out what the asterisk means, isn't my favorite.
Well, it's the itis here of like having to lead into the next thing.
Yeah, and then the second post-credit sequence, I'm just upset about. I don't know if we want to spoil it here, but
no, we'll keep it off.
But like it just like, oh great, another plot point to work backward from, which I think this movie avoided very, very easily for its runtime. I mean, I guess you don't count the end credit scene, even though it was like a 3-minute scene for the first time ever.
I think it's a scene from another movie, I believe, is what I read about it.
Oh really? They haven't done that since Thor.
That is. I think that's what I read. I'll check on that, but that's what I thought.
That's weird.
Yeah, because I believe that. I read.
Is it from the movie it's referencing? Supposedly.
No, because I heard that the Russo brothers directed the end credit scene. That's what I read in a headline. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not thrilled with that one, but I really, really enjoyed the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Kiko, as the sort of non-nerd, what was your thoughts, or what were your thoughts on?
I don't consider you don't consider yourself a nerd about this stuff, though, do you? Or have you?
I mean, I liked a lot of the Marvel movies. Does that make me a nerd?
We did a podcast about rewatching them.
Yeah.
That we abandoned.
Well, what else were y'all gonna do? We're stuck in.
This was post-pandemic.
Oh, was it?
That was a different.
I thought it all came together under one roof, but
no.
That was our most successful podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Pandemic one.
Well, I bet
It was.
So I'm going to agree with both of you. I think where the film is successful to a point is building a superhero team on the idea of trauma and, how powerful something like that can be on the human psyche. And Cody, the counselor, can probably talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure. But I didn't like it, guys. I think the problem with Thunderbolts is that the first 2/3 of it were just like introductions, and it just felt like we just kept meeting him, and it just all felt like, okay, we're getting introduced to these characters for 2 hours, they're setting up the dynamics between them, and then we're going to hit you at the end with a 30-minute battle scene or whatever. So I mean, we've had this ragtag band of superheroes. You brought up Guardians of the Galaxy. I've loved all 3 of those movies. I thought they were all memorable characters, from Groot to Jerrod's boyfriend Michael Rooker. So I think that having characters that memorable really helps out. I didn't find any of these characters memorable besides Florence Pugh's Yelena, which I agree is the strongest character in the bunch. But this movie's not called Yelena. We have 5 or 6 other ones out there.
I mean, overall, I do think it is interesting though that like I think at minimum that John Walker character is like objectively interesting. The idea that he was Captain America, that he did something really bad, and then what happened with his family, and then he's stuck like holding on to, like, I think that's I think that's like interesting objectively.
I mean, when they made fun of his character and called him whatever they called him, the Dime Store Captain America, I think. I mean, I didn't find that part funny because I couldn't argue with the opposite of that. But that's what all the other characters. I just felt like they're like the B team of whatever is happening. And again, that's what happens with
point. Yeah.
yeah, I know that's what happens with Guardians. But Guardians was able, even in the first movie, they were able to rise up above a little bit above that, and I felt like there were like more than just that. You know what I mean? I think I felt Guardians of the Galaxy or that ragtag B team was I felt kind of, you know, I cared about what was happening. I understood like the storyline and the things that were going on with them, even emotionally there too as well. But I just didn't feel any of that besides the Yelena character. So overall I just felt like this was one of those stepping stone movies to me, one of those fillers for the next one. I didn't think it was funny enough. I don't know how many times they tried to make that Bob joke work. Did not like that at all. I think maybe the first time it was funny. The name Bob is not funny, guys. Or making fun of the Thunderbolts name in general. I think what was it? It was the name of her like soccer team or something like that. Mm-hmm. So you know, just for me, I watched it. I just thought it was a pretty average movie overall in terms of superhero movies. But I mean, there's so many of them. When you put one in the middle of all of them, it's usually better than, you know. Most,
I'm interested how you feel like this is a stepping stone, because it's like,
well,
it doesn't
nothing,
really...
I mean, besides them getting introduced, what happens really? I mean,
it's an entire meditation on mental health and depression and
that's
emotional
diving deeper.
Social support.
Well, that's diving deeper into it, and I like that part. I think the fact that they're tied together through these emotional points in their life is interesting, but I just don't think it went far enough in terms of the plot itself.
Here's the thing where I kind of disagree on this is that there are Marvel movies out there, and quite a few of them, that do the stepping stones thing without the exploration of a topic or a subject or a theme or anything like that. And this is very much not that, which makes it, I think, superior to a lot of this sort of true stepping stone stuff. Like, you know, like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is like pure stepping stone shit with nothing else going on. And that is what I think is truly like the flawed part of, you know, this whole thing.
Yeah. I won't disagree with you on that. The other part that I didn't care too much about was the last like 20 minutes where they're going through. I don't know what's happening. Honestly, they're going through all these different.
It's a little John Malkovich being John Malkovich.
I was thinking John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine. So being big fans of that, I think some people might appreciate it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, all you know, this is. Cody, did you send this to me? And I just pulled it up, but like, there's those reports that Kevin Feige really thinks, like, is starting to think that these Marvel movies are becoming like homework.
Yeah.
You know, I can see why people would think that about this movie, because every character was introduced somewhere else. But I think, like, this is the first time in a while that I felt like it didn't pour over plot points, which I think is the most important thing. Like, it didn't pour, like, you had to know, I don't know, you had to know a few things going in, I guess, to make it easier, but didn't feel dependent on those things. Like,
well, and maybe that's where I fall short as a movie watcher, because besides Bucky Barnes, and then of course Yelena and the Black Widow, and David Harbour's character. I mean, I didn't know who anybody else was.
You've seen all of them?
Which ones?
Have you seen all the Marvel movies?
I've seen probably 90% of them.
Okay.
I think I missed like I couldn't tell. I'd have to go back to the list.
The one I still haven't seen, weirdly, is the Marvels.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the one that, like, on its face value was like, you need to have watched this movie and this entire TV series and this other entire series.
I am the nerd because I've seen all of them. So
I just haven't had.
Asking.
But you haven't watched all the shows. I think I've watched more of the shows.
No, he asked you one earlier and you said you hadn't seen it.
I've seen all the movies. I
need to watch some Marvels. I never got around to it. That was the one.
But again, we talked about this.
You didn't see Hawkeye.
That's a show.
Oh.
We talked about that. We've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. Is like, when is too much homework too much? Like, we're at that point where somebody young coming up in this in this MCU.
In the cash game.
There's no way that they can catch up.
This is a great, perfect timing for this because I'm going to do my dumb person, I don't know anything about this universe question.
I'm just
real
a
quick.
girl.
I'm already doing it in the group chat, in the private chat. I'm asking all my really dumb questions, but this is perfect timing for this. So, in order to have watched this movie, I should have, or potentially should have, had watched Black Widow,
Yep.
who was a part of the Avengers.
Yep.
And the Avengers were a team assembled by Iron Man?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially.
So I could have gone back like just that like small line.
Yeah, about 14 movies.
I think if you've watched Black Widow, that is probably enough. I think you can get by with just having seen Black Widow, and that's probably all you need.
Like I said, the important thing is it's not porting over plot points, which is like one of the major downfalls of Brave New World.
Yeah.
Because it was like, what? I had to fucking remember the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, but they also, like, even with that Wyatt Russell character, they kind of tell you what happened without, like, having to
They
have
literally,
seen
like,
that.
they show, like, the Time magazine article or whatever again from the show.
Yeah. Which, again, like, I don't know if that's maybe a detriment to the show that, like, it makes you watch 10 episodes of whatever to have a plot point.
It was
that's
actually
one
only
sentence.
4.
Oh,
Thankfully,
whatever.
it was only 4. They were really long, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, anyway, we'll go ahead and get into final thoughts and grades and just kind of reiterate these points. So, yeah, so for me, I think this is, Jerrod, that's a good call. I had forgotten about it. This is the best movie since Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I think that it is one of only 2 good Marvel movies going back to Endgame, I think, where those are, I think, the only 2 that I thought were like legitimately really solid. And so that's a great thing. And again, I really appreciate that there's some actual depth to this thing in the way of exploring themes that aren't usually there in these types of movies here. And again, it's a great display of why you hire really good talent in these roles. I think Florence Pugh is really fantastic, and I think hopefully she gets maybe a little bit more to do within this franchise. If they, again, I think the more that you can highlight the real talent, the better as these things go along. I don't know that this like saves or rescues the MCU in any way, but it is the most solid entry in a little while. So I'm giving it a B. Jerrod, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. There have been enjoyable movies. I enjoyed No Way Home. It's pure fan service, but I think it's okay. I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness because I'm a Sam Raimi fan. But as for good movies, since Endgame, it's this movie and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it's a coincidence that they both focus on more intimate things. Mm-hmm. Guardians 3 focuses on them rescuing their friend who is dealing with this, immense trauma. These things get personal, and I think they get good. Like it's a weird thing that like these things that happen on a the smaller scale things that happen typically tend to be the better, at least lately, have been the better films. Like I don't give a shit if the world's ending again. Like if you're like Guardians 3, the plot is rescue Rocket.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it. This one is, I won't spoil it, but, be compassionate, I guess, is the ultimate message. But, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it, probably a little more than I thought I would. Once I found out, I think, like, the second trailer they released about a month ago really cemented that it was a Florence Pugh movie. And I think I think that sells it. If she wasn't the main character, if she was just sort of a supporting character, I don't know that it'd be as good as it is, but I think she's really good in this, and I think it was a super wise decision to center it on her. So I'm giving it a really, really solid B.
All right, and then Kiko.
So I have no emotional skin in the game with any of these, so I didn't cry when Iron Man died, and
Spoiler.
I didn't either. You know what?
I didn't get out of bed for 2 weeks, so
I knew people that got upset at the end of everybody dying at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Where I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like,
I was like, "Oh, does that mean they're not going to make any more of these things?" That's what
But it's like, are you kidding? There, there's a sequel coming out next year. Do you think they really killed Spider-Man forever?
And I'm being snobby about it, but no, I do enjoy the ones that are fun for the fun of them, and that's it. So Winter Soldier's still top of my list in the past 10 years or so. So and so for me, the fact that Thunderbolts has this asterisk at the end of its title is a perfect way to sum up what the movie meant to me. It should have come with a disclaimer warning people that it's only groundbreaking if you've never seen another MCU movie before. So I am at a C.
Jeez.
Straight C on this one.
That is
All right.
brutal.
All right. So that's going to do it for Thunderbolts and Jerrod. Jerrod, thanks for
Bye.
coming in.
Wait. Are you going to do a fizzle away
Throw your hat in the air and we'll freeze it.
I was gonna make a Marvel
I don't feel so
reference,
good, Mr.
but I don't know
Stark.
any. When he snaps his fingers,
doing a
what
joke.
happens?
Let him
I'm
do a
doing that.
joke.
I'm trying to tell you.
Oh,
No, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. And then I dissolve. And
yeah.
all the dorks cry because they thought Spider-Man was dying. No,
Really?
they're not killing Spider-Man. They're not
Which
even. they didn't
Spider-Man
even-
was it?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Oh yeah.
They're not. They're
that's right.
they're fucking bringing back Robert Downey Jr. Like,
Yeah.
no
well,
one.
so that's I mean, in the private chat, I was like, "Did so and so die?" And Cody was like, "Yes." And
This
I was
is
like,
the This is the
she-
like.
Are they dead?
And I've been-
or
I've been meaning to ask
because no one
Jerrod
ever
this.
dies.
Are you happy that they're bringing Robert Downey Jr.
No.
back to?
I am.
Thank you,
Cody
thank
and I have
you,
talked about this.
Thank you.
I am very, very unhappy with the revisiting of The Well, like the Marvel event where they had all the directors' chairs. Like, I get it. You have the ongoing characters, like, Paul Rudd's gonna be in it, and then all the people from the Thunderbolts, like, cool. Then they start showing like Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, like, whoa. I thought we got this all out of our system with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't need to see I've watched Patrick Stewart die as
Multiple
Professor X
times.
3 times.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't need to see him again. He's a very old man. I love him, but
You'll
I
still
don't need
go
to
to see it. You'll
I'm gonna
still
see
buy
it.
that ticket.
But I'm going to complain about it because I don't like that direction. I like the things that take chances. Like, I liked this movie because I feel like it took a chance. It took a chance to tell a smaller, intimate story. I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because it took a chance to tell a smaller, intimate story. And James Gunn had earned the clout by then to pretty much do whatever the fuck he wanted. Captain America and the Winter Soldier took a chance. Some of them are, those are some of my favorite ones. And obviously... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that. I think it's just when they do go back to that and do things like that, I just think it's a lazy way of casting somebody. They're just
Well,
they're hoping that his popularity is going to bring people into the theater.
it's a Star Warsization of all of this shit, where like they don't want to piss off the fan base, so they play directly to them.
Well, I mean, the Last Jedi thing killed it forever. The fans are firmly in control.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, because he's playing Doctor Doom, like, horse shit. Like, he's playing Tony Stark playing Doctor Doom. Like,
Right.
there's no and
Because he died in Infinity War.
Correct.
Endgame.
Okay.
Endgame,
Well,
not
yes.
Infinity War. But like the idea that I had a thought and I can't remember it.
Good job, Jocelyn.
You fucked me up. No, the post credits scene in this movie, the second one, I was so upset about. Like, everything has to serve the ongoing story at some point. And while I think this movie mostly gets free of that, she died in Infinity War, Jocelyn.
I'm still asking my dumb questions.
No,
in
actually,
the private chat.
Anyway, what am I
no,
trying
wait,
to say?
it is Endgame, right?
I'm totally fucking
Oh yeah, you're right. It's
screwing you
it's.
guys up.
I'm
I
thinking
love this.
of
Just so
it's,
the listeners
all
know, I'm
more
asking,
together.
Because
I'm
Gamora
asking
who dies in
very simple
Gamora.
questions.
Infinity War ends with the snap, right?
I'm
And
asking
that's-
questions that
And they
should be
dissolve.
very
Yeah.
simple, and these people are melting
there's
down.
there's
over
two
the
there's two
answer.
main characters that
So-
die in the same place doing the
Just
same
saying.
thing in
Yeah.
two different movies.
Sure, Jerrod. Sure.
I'm just telling you.
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, so that it's not serving the larger masters is something that I think is refreshing, and but I don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's all. I gotta go, guys.
All
Hey, it
right.
was great
I'm
having
gonna
you.
dissolve.
Thanks for
Thanks.
joining.
Are we really not gonna see you until another Marvel, or are you gonna come back to visit
Wicked
us?
2 for sure.
That I really want to see. I mean, I'm trying to see like the bigger things. So, what's the next big thing at the end of May? Is it
Oh,
Superman?
Jurassic Park. Aren't
Oh
you
man,
coming?
I'm not looking forward to that. But
Oh yeah.
there's whenever Superman's coming out, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, that's DC? Haha, I got it right.
Oh, she got one.
I gotta go, guys. But
All
yeah,
right.
I'll be back sometime. Bye.
Nice seeing you, Jerrod.
All right,
Thanks.
see ya.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Jerrod.
So the remaining three of us are going to move on to our next film, Another Simple Favor. So we recently talked about a movie that had a sequel 9 years ago. This isn't quite that, but it was 7 years ago. This is a sequel to A Simple Favor, the Paul Feig movie that came out 7 years ago.
Well, a simple favor more memorable than Accountant 1.
Yeah,
the
I think
question.
so.
I think so. I think it was, especially it was like, wasn't it during COVID? So everyone was kind of,
Not quite.
oh,
2018.
true.
You knew something about COVID in 2018?
Maybe. I just
okay.
remember it being like a big deal when Simple Favor came out.
Yeah, it was. So A Simple Favor was a movie that was directed by Paul Feig, based on a novel about like a single mom who basically was sort of taken aback by another mom played by Blake Lively. The single mom was played by Anna Kendrick, and kind of becomes a little bit kind of like infatuated or obsessed with her, and then she disappears, and Blake Lively's character disappears, and Anna Kendrick's character kind of like works to kind of solve the mystery of what happened while also getting entangled with her family and things like that. The sequel finds I don't know if I probably won't spoil the end of A Simple Favor just in case anyone hasn't seen either, but this one finds Stephanie Smothers and Emily Nelson reuniting on the island of Capri, Italy, for Emily's extravagant wedding to a rich Italian businessman, which is interrupted by murder and betrayal. So I liked A Simple Favor. I rewatched it this week. It wasn't as good as I remembered it being, but I did watch it, and I think the part of it that really works, I think Anna Kendrick is really great in it, and I think that the movie feels like a trashy novel in a fun way. Like you kind of buy into the sort of trashy elements of this
Is
like
this
mystery.
the first one
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it's not like an amazing movie, but it has that element of it that really works. The thing with Another Simple Favor is it feels just like trashy in the sense that it belongs in the garbage. I think that this movie is a really big misfire on pretty much every single account. I think the thing that works about A Simple Favor is the juxtaposition between Anna Kendrick's character as this sort of like bashful, shy, conservative, single mom, and Blake Lively, who is kind of like doesn't care about anything, very flippant, dresses in all of these crazy clothes and is like vulgar and all that stuff. And them two working together, being like complete opposites, is the thing that works really well about A Simple Favor. When we get to Another Simple Favor here, Anna Kendrick's character is completely different, where she's like smart talking and sassy, and she's she's not she's lost like the conservative elements of her.
She's standing up for herself, right?
She's standing up for herself and stuff like that. And, one could argue that like she goes through that a little bit during the course of A Simple Favor as she kind of, figures out that mystery. But now she's like like a sleuth that has like a true crime kind of thing where she's like helping the police solve cold cases and murders and stuff. And none of it just really feels believable at all. And again, you lose the sort of character elements that I think make that first movie so successful. So nobody is really acting like they did in the first movie, even though that they're carrying over. So when you get to the sort of Italy story here, it basically happens that Blake Lively's character is getting married to this like rich Italian businessman, and then like absurd stuff starts happening. Oh, by the way, hold on, let me back up 1 second too. When I said that no character acts the same, that's also the case for Henry Golding's character in this movie, where again, in A Simple Favor, he is, you know, like slightly a sleazebag, but not overtly, but also like, you know, he acts like kind, and you know, he's like convincing. In this movie, he's basically just like a drunk asshole. And that is his only character trait. So that character again feels unlike the first one. The thing that I really like could not, I think the movie starts off fine. You know, you can tell that the script is overwritten and they're trying too hard with like clever dialogue or, you know, cutting comments or whatever it is. When you start to get into the sort of mystery of it all, it starts to veer into feeling like I don't know if any of you got like Knives Out or Glass Onion vibes, where it's starting to be like Agatha Christie mystery type stuff. And it just like does not work, because the central thing that's happening in it is not only not interesting, but Anna Kendrick's character gets sucked into the middle of all of this despite having like no motive for anything. I don't know why she's a suspect. The movie doesn't even try to really give it one, except for that she harbors some kind of thing against Blake Lively's character, and that's it. Like, it's like a based on revenge, but it is the flimsiest of motives, and none of it feels in any way believable. And I think that's the thing that kind of sinks the movie, is that it puts Anna Kendrick in the middle of all of this when she has no real reason to be that way. It gets really caught up in this like Allison Janney family storyline and plot line that just kind of gets dumber and dumber with each reveal. And you have, you know, nothing about the first movie character-wise that makes it work. So Anna Kendrick's character is not sort of like, you know, so sort of like naive or in over her head. She's like this like super smart sleuth or whatever. And then, you know, Blake Lively's character has like this air of mystery about her in the first one. And in this one, you know, she's harder to read in a way that is like on screen and not so much just like hard to read as a person. So, I mean, I guess it makes good use of some visuals for a free trip to Italy, but, you know, aside from that, I think that this is just a really dull sequel trying to rehash certain, you know, mystery elements of everything. The mystery itself is lame. The interactions and characterizations are, you know, not at all what they were in the first movie. It just really feels like a sequel that's weighed down by you know, like trying to create an intriguing mystery and then missing on all accounts. So I'll go ahead and pass over to Jocelyn for this one.
Yay, thank you. I think, yes, as you were saying, the first one, it's almost like Mom Lit. You know how like Mom Lit is so popular right now, and like I have friends who tear through these books that are just like, they're just like candy. It's, you know, and that's how the first movie I think was. It was very like flashy, and the outfits were beautiful, and Blake was mysterious, and that was the fun of it all. And even though it wasn't, like Cody said, a great movie, it was still like something that was enjoyable. The sort of twists were, you sort of saw them coming almost, or you've seen it before, but you're willing to sort of turn a blind eye to it because they did it in a unique way, and it was just fun. Again, going back to those Mom Lit books, that's exactly like, that's the equation that they always follow. This one, I felt like it was a bad telenovela version of that started like Ridiculous 11 and then just went off the deep end. I told Cody it was like, it started bad and then it grew to being unwatchable for me, because the twists were so ridiculous, and every plot device that has ever existed in any type of a mystery they used. Like, there's like characters that come out of nowhere, there's truth serum, there's like, oh, mysterious deaths. It's just completely ridiculous, and not in the fun way that the first movie did. Even like, you know, the outfits, it just felt very like not like empty. There was no fun in it because it just had nothing to hang on. Like, the clothes were just like blowing in the wind. There's nothing that they can actually like grab onto in this movie. This was just
not
terrible.
even that huge hat that she was wearing at one point.
Oh God, and I've even seen in interviews where Blake was like taking credit for that, where she was like, "Oh, and I found this hat in Capri," and I really think that they thought that people would that makes a movie. It's just like having ridiculous outfits, and it's not. It has to be a balance of actually, good storytelling and the, like Cody was saying, also the characters that weren't like totally unlikable like they were this time around. Another thing was how death was treated so like flippantly. Like characters die and it's as if nobody cares. It's like these people are your family members.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, just get them off the island.
Especially
like,
with a kid.
It's so dumb. Oh my god.
The kid part really bothered me.
Me
when,
too.
I was like, shouldn't somebody be consoling this little boy?
No.
No, he doesn't even need to be consoled. He's not even sad. He doesn't show any emotions.
There's nothing. It's terrible.
Maybe he should become a Thunderbolt.
It got worse and worse. I wouldn't know. I didn't. But anyway, yeah. So that was another huge red flag for me, on top of like one that's tied to a twist that we can't talk about. But like, there's another sort of big thing that happens that is like really gross and not fun and really disturbing. And I hated it. I hated this movie.
Yeah.
Kiko, your turn.
Excuse me, I'm the host here.
Sorry.
Kiko, your turn.
Toss it over to me, Jocelyn. That's fine. I think it's funny that we've been talking a lot about doing homework, and it's funny that Cody didn't watch the first Accountant, but he watched the first Simple. It's just interesting to me how where we are in our
Knowledge
movie
of it,
or our movie loving, or like we remember things. Like I remember liking A Simple Favor, but I didn't go back and watch it again. So anyway, and I also think it's funny because like I'm complaining about having to do all this homework, but like whenever they make, if and when they make Gremlins 3, I'm gonna be the first. I'm gonna be the first in line to see that. I'm gonna watch the original, a million times. So anyway, I think that exactly. So I think what's wrong with the sequel again, and you've all already touched on it, but it's lost all the craftiness and that of the original, and I think that it's because of the script. I mean, it's a dud script by a pair of screenwriters, and I looked one of them up. One of them earned a Razzie Award for writing the horrendous Colin Farrell movie Alexander. I mean, they threw everything in this movie. Like there was a mafia subplot. There was like the mafia thing just threw me for a loop. I was gone after that. The only thing I remember about the original is how much I liked the twists, especially the one at the end, even though I really can't perfectly remember what it was, but I do remember liking it. I thought it was clever and well executed, and I also thought the original was, felt sleek and sexy and dangerous, and they really, really tried to do the same thing here in terms of those things and the style of it, but I just thought it was uneventful, and especially with the way the plot was building up, it just became this convoluted thing that just went on and try to piece things together and throw things, break things apart and try to make it all make sense at the end by explaining everything again, and it was not what I was expecting after enjoying the first one. And Cody's rehashing what happens in the first one, I was able to remember a little bit more about it, and I do remember not loving it but liking it a lot, enough to maybe I'd give it like a B- or something like that. But it just didn't feel as fresh. This one, it didn't feel as polished, and I think that's what the problem was for me. I do like Anna Kendrick as an actress, and I think Blake Lively is a stunning person just in general. But yeah, they did nothing for me in this movie.
Yeah. Well, in that screenwriter, the Razzie screenwriter who wrote Alexander, I think makes sense because she is a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin. So,
no.
So sorry, Jocelyn. You're.
Is she RTF? Was she filmed?
I
may have known her. What year?
I don't know.
What's her name?
Laeta Kalogridis.
Okay.
Oh, you would have remembered that name for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into final thoughts and grades. Again, this is a sequel that is inferior to the original in every single way. I think it loses the charm about what makes it good, including taking a character like Anna Kendrick's well-rounded character of the first and just making her... stripping her of everything that is really interesting about that character and that dynamic from the first movie. I understand that characters can and should grow, but this one doesn't even feel like it is the same character as the first. I think that the mystery plotline is not well executed. It's over the top. It's riddled with cliches. And above all else, it's just like really, really dumb. So I'm giving Another Simple Favor a C-. Jocelyn, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, I think you guys hit it all on the head as far as like even Anna Kendrick, who I love, just can't save this movie. But she is kind of like the shining star in it. She's really great in everything she does. And she really is kind of the one thing that you can kind of hold on to in this. I want to say Blake, I really think was bad. And especially when she was portraying like a character that comes later on in the movie, it's a very bad performance and it's very weird, and it makes the whole like atmosphere of the movie change and in a really bizarre like Flowers in the Attic kind of way. You know what I mean?
God.
You know what I mean, Kiko? Yeah. If you get that reference, then you'll know like why, and it's just like it makes it super gross and just upsetting and like, I hated it. So I'm doing but again, because of Anna, I'm going to do a plus. So a D+ for Anna.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I really didn't like this movie.
All right, Kiko.
Yeah, I'm glad Cody brought up Agatha Christie a few minutes back, because that's what it felt like to me as I was watching it. I just thought it was a bland whodunit mystery that squanders its chance to match the original film's clever twists and style. So, sorry, Kendrick. Sorry, Miss Thang. We're giving this a C as well. A C, solid C.
All right. So we will now move on to our final film of the episode here, The Surfer. The Surfer is a film starring Nicolas Cage, and it is about a man who returns to the idyllic beach of his childhood to surf with his son. When he is humiliated by a group of locals, the man is drawn into a conflict that keeps rising and pushes him to his breaking point. If anyone has watched the recent output, and I'm talking like the last, 20 years of Nicolas Cage's career, you know that he has made some choices, and many of them involve him going for broke and over the top, borderline ridiculous, moderately but maybe not self-aware acting. And in some cases, it works. In some cases, it doesn't. In some cases, he is willing to poke fun at himself, like in that recent movie with Pedro Pascal that has a really long title that if I do from memory, I'm going to butcher.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. He was really good in Pig a few years back. I don't know that the movie works entirely, but he is really good in Dream Scenario from a couple of years ago. I think he's been better in recent years, but like, there was a dark period for a while there that was just sort of like, if we're going back to like Wicker Man or whatever.
Well, because he had to pay his taxes. Come on.
Right? Yeah, he was going.
And he even admitted that, right? He's taking on all these straight to DVD, straight to streaming type stuff. Where you could like make up the name of the title, like Drive Angry.
Yeah. Well, and also
it's like that. It's like
and that is also made fun of in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So,
right.
Like, he has that sense of self-awareness of it. So this movie is like no different in terms of the sort of like going for broke, crazy Nicolas Cage that we've come to expect. I don't want to spend a ton of time on my side of this because I feel like the movie, and I think part of my problem with it, is extremely repetitive. The bulk of this movie takes place in like the parking lot of a beach and is basically Nicolas Cage's character slowly over time like losing his mind and basically having other people I saw that this is not my sort of thought about this. I saw this in a review, but basically it's a bunch of people like gaslighting into thinking he's crazy and losing his mind. And that's basically all that happens through the duration of the movie. Just slowly over time, he just starts to lose his mind a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And I just, it's played like, it's interesting. Jocelyn mentioned the telenovela elements of Another Simple Favor, because I think that this oftentimes has a very like soap opera look to it in its visual style and like some of like the zoom ins and the and some of the looks of it. Cage is appropriately insane in the movie as he loses his mind. Again, I feel like it's at least partially self-aware. but who really knows? There's no real story to speak of here, again, except for like there's this group of local surfers who just is like increasingly, violent towards him and threatening.
The Bay Boys.
Yeah. I just found the majority of this movie really off-putting, and I think not pleasant to watch. I feel like the further he goes into the descent, the more ridiculous and over the top everything gets, and I just found the whole exercise pretty unpleasant and unenjoyable. In addition to being really repetitive, and then finally, when you kind of see what ends up happening at the end of the movie, which is like trying to fully understand what's going on, I don't know that it entirely makes sense, because I think other people who are play a part in this throughout, it doesn't make sense that they are involved in what this movie ends up being at the end of the day. So for me, this is just like dime a dozen Descent into Madness kind of movie. I don't think that there's anything interesting or unique about it, aside from like a committed performance from Nick Cage. I don't really know that there's much here to talk about aside from that. But Kiko, what were your thoughts on The Surfer?
Oh wow! So yeah, we saw different movies. When it comes to the eccentric nature of some of Cage's roles, I'm gonna agree with you, and I can only take it in small to medium doses, right? So while I can appreciate him in like mainstream flicks like Face Off or Con Air, and maybe like an indie project or two like The Bad Lieutenant, I think where he shows off, his screwy side, but doesn't go too overboard is where I like him. I like him right there. So, but again, I'm more partial to like his quieter performances, and I'm sure you are too, Cody. Like Joe and Pig, like you met this is interesting because I think to a lesser instance, The Surfer, I didn't find him over the top at all in this. I thought he was pretty calm. I think where. And in the last 30 minutes, it gets crazy, but I think it was more the director and the style that he was shooting for, where Cage kind of gets cagey, I guess. And I'm not going to I'll give him some leeway here because I think it was about style and what this director, I think his name is Lorcan Finnegan. I think what he does with editing and tone makes it look like Cage is kind of hallucinating, like the craziest things that he's done before. So, I thought the first 2/3 of the film were effective. I enjoyed that line between the reality and the delusions, and as it became finer and finer, it worked its way to a somewhat predictable conclusion, I thought. But I thought Cage, he kind of what's that word in psychology? Compartmentalizing? Is that what compartmentalize? Is that a word? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he compartmentalizes his craziness enough to keep him grounded, and I felt like it was an actual character going through these frustrating scenarios that he finds himself in. And I actually like the scenario itself. I mean, all it is this guy that wants to surf with his kid, right? And you have these Australian like douchebags who don't want to let him in the water. So it's not an overly complex narrative setup, but I did like the way that that he went on this journey with it. Of course, the journey gets a lot messier when that line between what's real and what isn't fades away. But as it's going on, I didn't find him. I didn't find him as off-putting as as other movies where he goes mad, like in what's a good example, Mom and Dad or Drive Angry or something like that. So I thought he kind of he stayed grounded, like I said, and it was just a very simple story. I like the fact that he's trying just to get in the water and he can't. And maybe it is a little bit repetitious, but I like how I stuttered when I said repetitious. That was pretty interesting. So yeah, that's where I am with the Surfer. I enjoyed it.
Jocelyn.
Yeah, I think I realized during this movie that Nicolas Cage is maybe my favorite actor. I didn't realize it until I was watching this movie where I'm like, he is so freaking sincere in everything he does that he just kills it. I love him so much. And I liked this performance. I'll go through the positives of this movie first are the performance from Nick Cage, and I also thought the cinematography was beautiful. I think what you were talking about was more like the editing choices from the director, Cody, that were making it a little soap opera-y, because the actual like cinematography is really gorgeous. But then there are like some real cheesy like camera movements and even like the soundtrack, like the sound effects were like super cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this movie was so close to being a very good movie. And it was reminding me a lot of like Australian new wave movies where it's like, and that's why I was surprised. I just looked up the director, and he's actually Irish, because I was like, man, it could have been cool if this was like a resurgence of like Australian new wave cinema, but it wasn't. So I don't know.
I've only seen one movie that he's done before, and that was Vivarium a few years back, and that's a nutsoid. Doesn't work. It doesn't work in my opinion. But that's a very repetitious movie too. So maybe Cody, did you ever see that? It's the one with where the family keeps on driving around and keeps on running into the same house. Or the same,
interesting. So maybe that's what he does. It's sort of because you can definitely tell what he's going for as far as like that it's a metaphor of something. But I think it just kind of misses the mark as far as
Oh, I was just gonna say that the this director has a history with Black Mirror.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting. Which episode?
I'll have to look it up, but he started off with Charlie Brooker's production company.
Oh my gosh! So Kiko, that's like maybe my second favorite television series of all time.
So like
Black Mirror.
Vivarium, you might like because it's very Twilight Zone-ish. I've never seen Black Mirror, but a couple of episodes.
Oh my god! I can't. Okay.
So
which ones? We'll talk about this offline. I need to know which ones you've seen, and I will recommend some for you. That's interesting because I will go back. I'm interested in his first movie and to see which episodes of Black Mirror he did. But all that to say, like I said, I started with the positive, but it's not a great movie. It's far from being good. But I just feel like there's a lot of elements that are likable in it, and I feel like I can see why Nick Cage chose this. And I don't think this is a movie-making movie for him. I think this is him getting back to like choosing and selecting like. Because it's definitely an interesting choice. Was it good?
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
think so. But I went back and I even want to watch Unbearable. It made me want to watch the unimaginable weight of massive talent.
You messed it up, and you're the one who got it right the first time.
Unbearable weight of massive talent. I looked it up because I went back and I watched some scenes of him and Pedro Pascal, and I was like, God, I missed this movie. I need to go back and see it. Cause
that's why you got to stick to titles like Joe, Pig.
I know, right?
There you go.
But yeah,
Con Air.
I just can't fault it because I just love Nick Cage, and he is just so sincere. Like he just will, just act his little butt off for whatever he's working on. So it has that going for it too.
All right. Well, we'll get into final thoughts. So again, for me, I just was never on the wavelength of this movie, and I just found it to be kind of like samey and repetitive as he kind of keeps, going into this descent into madness. And I feel like even though it is slow, it's just kind of like the same kind of things happening to him as he unravels a little bit. Again, I think that the performance is fine. I don't think that it is anything terrible. I also don't think it's anything really all that great. So for me, this is pretty, mediocre stuff for me. I'm giving it a C. Kiko, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, overall, I think The Surfer it's an imperfect psychological thriller. I'll say that, but I think it says some interesting things about grief and regret and social isolation. But that's just me reading way too much into things like this, which I sometimes do. Plus, it gives Nicolas Cage a few more layers to play with besides screaming into the void, which he usually does. And so, as a Nicolas Cage fan, when he does the more grounded things, I'm more satisfied in something like this than I am in most of his other things. So I'm giving this a B-.
And Jocelyn.
Yeah, I think this movie had a lot going for it, and I like movies that take a swing. I'd rather watch this to Another Simple Favor 1 million times and support something like this over that, because you can tell that they're trying things. Was it entirely successful? No, but there was a lot that I kind of was able to latch onto. So I'm giving it a C+.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. So next week, we have it's going to be a weird week in that we don't have any real major releases, but we do have the horror comedy Clown in a Cornfield coming out next week. We also have the Josh Hartnett starring Fight or Flight And then maybe Shadow Force, if I can get a hold of it, which stars Omar Sy and Kerry Washington. And yeah,
Are we gonna dress up like clowns to review Clown in a Cornfield?
I
'Cause
mean,
I think that'd be great.
why don't you just come as yourself?
Boys.
Open up your closet. I want to see that there's a clown suit in there back there. It's hanging.
Yeah. This will be this is really the last slow week before we get into blockbuster season. So after this week comes the following week is Final Destination Bloodlines and Hurry Up Tomorrow. The week after that is Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. The week after that is Karate Kid Legends. The week after that is Ballerina, the John Wick movie, and The Phoenician Scheme, the new Wes Anderson. How to Train Your Dragon is the week after that. 28 Years Later is the week after that. Megan 2.0 is after that. And then finally, Jurassic Rebirth, then Superman, and then Fantastic Four is after that. So yeah, we're about to hit summer movie season proper as soon as we get past Fight or Flight starring Josh Hartnett. If
Josh Hartnett's coming back,
Hey.
okay?
You're gonna end up loving this movie. I bet. Watch.
I liked what's it called, Trap.
all right.
He's coming back. It's
Well-
slow, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
What would that be called? When what's his name came back to play
Josh
the well? That was a what?
It was I
The
don't know. What do you mean?
Renaissance? No, the
Oh, yeah. Well, it was first the McConaissance.
Oh, that's
with
right.
McConaughey, and then I guess it's the Renaissance.
Renaissance. So we'll have to think of one for Josh Hartnett.
Heart Renaissance.
Yeah,
We'll have to workshop that.
That rolls off the tongue.
yeah, sounds great. All right, so if you want to reach out to us, find us at CineSnob on all social media. That includes platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you. Are we on Blue Sky? No?
No, we're
not a
in
blue
Gray
sky.
Sky. Gray Sky.
All right. And then if you have not been yet, go to the new CineSnob.net where you can find individual reviews split up into clips from this show. And Kiko, any kind of interviews coming up here on your other two podcasts, CineSnob Sessions or Somos Hollywood?
Yeah, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what they are.
Great promo.
What do we review this week?
What did we review this week?
Yeah,
You were just here. What are you talking about?
I didn't interview anybody from Thunderbolts. What did I interview? Oh, you know who I interviewed? I interviewed Daniel Pineda. So I'm a little bit
Oh, okay.
late. So Daniel Pineda, who comes
From
out
The
in The
Accountant
Accountant 2. I didn't let her know that I didn't like the movie, but she was gracious enough to give me a few minutes of time last week. So you'll see her. You'll see her on the website this week.
Anyone for next week's movies?
I don't know. Maybe the clown if he gives me some time.
Friendo the Clown?
Say
The
that.
clown if you can get all that cornfield, maybe.
Yeah. Well, all right. So anything else to add from either of you? Going
No.
once, going twice. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net. See you next week.